Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Today I'm joined by Thomas, and we're going to be previewing the Manchester United game at Old Trafford on Saturday at 12:30. Thomas, what are you thinking? How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Just slightly buoyed by the news that we were just talking about before the video started that Martial's out. I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later, but not sure. Feeling like we need a good result really because the West Ham game. I'm still kind of struggling to process what happened there.
Mm,
Uh, I mean, all over them for ages. Naturally, Thomas Souček scores the best goal of his life, and then get caught on the counter after that. But I mean, that was just completely. I felt our lack of squad depth. I mean, it hurts us every week, but it absolutely hurts there. When you look
yeah,
at who we're
yeah.
bringing on, and we're trying to chase a win, and we bring on Andre Gomez. I mean, it feels like it's what 2017, 2018 all again. I can't remember when he joined, but I mean, it's just. I mean, that's just it was just typical Everton, really. So, really hoping for a good result this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. It was typical Everton, and it was another case of chances missed, wasn't it? I think we've seen it so many times this season where we've gone into games, we've put the ball in good areas, we've made decent enough amount of chances, and just not been able to put the ball in there. And that was definitely the story of Saturday. But yeah, if we move on to Manchester United and look ahead, we might as well start with the team news. And obviously Sean Dyche's press conference this afternoon, he did tell us the news that Idrissa Gana Gueye was not fully fit, and he probably is a doubt for Saturday. And as well, Arnaut Danjuma is getting closer to full fitness, but he isn't fully there yet. What would you think? We've got, as you said before, we've got a not a very good squad depth, have we? It's very poor. And is there a player that you're thinking that might be able to hurt Manchester United that has to start?
I mean, it's so tough at the moment. I mean, you can never at the moment you can't rely on Calvert-Lewin or Beto to really hit the barn door. I mean, I know Beto got his goal in the end, but it wasn't a great penalty, was it? When you look at the different angles, it looked all right, like at first viewing, but it's clearly a striker low on confidence. And I mean, I can't remember the last time we had a striker high on confidence. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
we see what Neil Maupay has gone and done. I don't know. There's just something about wearing the blue shirt, isn't it? Um, for a player that can hurt them it's just so tough at the moment, as you said, because we just aren't scoring goals. I mean, we're
Yeah.
comfortably one of the least entertaining teams to watch at the moment. We create so many chances. Maybe not least entertaining is maybe harsh. Definitely the most frustrating, I'd say, by a country mile, because we do perform well, and then after the match. People slating Sean Dyche. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
Sean Dyche is meant to do in these situations. He set up the team to create chances, score goals, and they're just not scoring them. But it's so tough at the moment to pick a player who I think
Yeah. Yeah.
could really hurt them. I mean, Dwight McNeil's not in the best run of form by any means. Jack Harrison's been fairly patchy pretty much all season.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
looked like a good signing when we signed him, but yeah, I mean, you're not looking at any of that front line and thinking United are going to be worried about any of them.
no, no, definitely not. I think for me, I'm looking at Amadou Onana. I think this United game is very similar to what it was at the Etihad. I know, you look at Manchester City, the amount of quality they've got, it's not comparable to Manchester United, but we're not going to see a lot of the ball. So it's how we react when we've got the ball at our feet and we have to turn it around quickly and counter attack it. It's how we deal with that. And I think Amadou Onana showed spells of that, especially in the Crystal Palace game as well. The Crystal Palace and the Manchester City game in the last few weeks. I think he showed spells that he can come on, take the ball to feet, look up and try and make that killer pass. And I think that's where we might be able to use Beto to hurt Manchester United as well in behind. If we look at the pace of Johnny
Better
Evans
to
and
hurt Manchester United. Yeah,
it sounds
it's
mad,
an
doesn't it?
interesting
It
one
sounds
saying.
mad. It's
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
remember at
probably
the start of the
crazy.
season, me and Ellis were stood ranting about how excited we were about seeing Beto and Calvert-Lewin up front. Quite hilarious if we go back and listen to that. But yeah, I agree on Onana, a man who for some reason just seems to get stick on Twitter every week. I'll never grasp this ever. I mean,
No,
he's
me
comfortably
neither.
our best player, and he has been. He was in patches last season, but this season, I mean, he's comfortably the most quality we've got on the ball, on the
Yeah.
pitch at any time. I'll never understand why people slate him so much. Of course, James Garner, to even mention him. Of course, James has come under a bit of slack this week for his views on James Garner, which I didn't disagree with. I think obviously you need to watch the full video to get the
Yeah, yeah,
context
yeah.
of what James said in that instance. He wasn't just saying that he's a completely ineffective player, but I mean, well, big game for him, really. What he's trying to prove why they shouldn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
sold him. I mean, I was shocked when we signed Garner at the time because he looked almost destined to get into that United side, and then
Yeah,
he
yeah.
didn't feature in that preseason, did he? And it looked all right. Okay, I mean, his time's gone, and Garner's still a massively important player for us, but not to sound too much like an Everton dad, if he does, he's got to beat the first man on corners. I mean, in the
He
dying minutes
has.
of a game, and we get a couple of corners, it's the most frustrating thing to see, I think, on the planet. I don't know if anyone's a football cliches listener, but if on my message Harlan Dix, my biggest frustration in football is corner takers not beating the first man. It's so frustrating, and especially in the dying embers of a game like that. But I agree on Onana. I think if Onana and Garner can come together, because Decore's fitness seems patchy. I mean, he
Mm.
will be playing, but he hasn't seemed to get the full match in his legs recently. So Onana is definitely the standout, but you need that midfield unit to really make the most of the ball, as he said, when we get it.
Yeah, it was interesting to talk about James Garner. I think Saturday's a big game for him because, as we saw with James, he has come under a lot of criticism for his Garner viewpoint, and we'll get onto that in a minute. I think the thing that you said about the corners, we're a team that relies on set pieces so much, aren't we? And to not beat the first man from a corner, I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's where we're gonna have to have our biggest amount of joy on Saturday, especially against Manchester United. A team that are not going to give us the ball a lot, and we were promised, weren't we? I know James said it. We were promised that James Garner was this, set piece wizard, and this player that could unlock us going forward with key passes and assists here and there. And he got a great assist on Saturday against West Ham with the cross for Beto. But I do kind of agree that his set pieces do need to be better. And I think for Saturday, looking at that, him and Onana in the midfield, obviously with the absence of Idrissa Gana Gueye, I think James Garner now has to step up and do that Idrissa Gana Gueye role of going to get the ball and trying to break up the Manchester United attacks. And I think that's where, he can really show that he is a competent player in that midfield because, I look back to the start of this season. He was doing those things. He has shown signs that he can do those things well. He can be that, that combative midfielder and, can he just unlock that attacking side with the creativity that we've been promised? For me, he is just a solid Premier League midfielder. He's never going to be a top six, top five, Champions League midfielder, but he's going to be that mid-table midfielder that's just going to be the constant in Everton's midfield for the next few years. So for me, I think Saturday's a real big opportunity for him to, just take on that role of Idrissa Gana Gueye and try and just, calm himself in the midfield because we've got a long break after this. So, he just has to have put in a good performance and, take it into this break.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember at the start of the season, we were getting very frustrated about the fact that James Garner kept being started on the right. We constantly say we need to see him through the middle. I mean, I can see why he was starting on the right at the time now. I mean, his set piece delivery has been patchy at times, but he's still got an excellent cross at him, as he said, demonstrated against West Ham. And he does have that quality on the wing that at the moment we are seriously lacking. Harrison's fairly 50-50, I'd say, when it comes to putting a cross at the box,
Yeah.
if that. And it's just it's tough, really tough, I think, to see how we're really going to get something on Saturday. I'd like to be
Yeah.
positive about it, but we're not a team at the moment in good run of form by any
No.
means, and it's been that for I mean a couple of months now. If you look back, we're on a really poor run, and when you look to see where the goals are coming from, they're literally coming from nowhere. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to be upbeat about Saturday, but I'm just not.
Yeah, if we look at Saturday again with Manchester United, they've got, their fair share of injuries. We did mention it at the start. Anthony Martial has been, we've been told today in the United press conference that he is injured. Thank God for that. I think before the video we said he scored 9 goals against Everton over the
9 goals
years.
against us, yeah, and he only turns up once a season, well, twice a season. So I'm just
The
glad to see he'll
novelty
be missing
player.
that this time.
Yeah, yeah. And Hoyland is touch and go for Manchester United. He's one that I've looked at for weeks and thought, he's really coming to his own now in a Manchester United shirt. He looks like the player that will be able to hurt us the most. So if he's out injured, that just strengthens our chances even more. But Marcus Rashford as well. Look at him in the Manchester derby on Sunday. Scored that screamer, and he's a player that's struggled for form all season, and a player that really could hurt us. He's got the power, he's got the pace to do so. So looking at that game on Saturday, I do agree with you. I'm not holding the highest amount of optimism in terms of that game. I think it's a tough game. Old Trafford, we know over the years, is a tough place to go. I think I've only seen us win there once, and it was Brian Oviedo's goal in the last minute.
Brian Oviedo, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, we know it's going to be a tough game on Saturday, but all we can ask is just, put in a good performance, take the fight to Manchester United and try and nick a goal on the counter attack because, they are a top side at the end of the day. On paper, they do have better players than us. So it's just how we can react to that and maybe try and hit them on the counter attack.
Yeah, Marcus Rashford's an interesting one, really, because he did score that screamer, but I don't think he played particularly brilliantly
No,
throughout
no.
the rest of the game. I know, I'm saying this now. I'm just he will bag a hat trick quite comfortably in Martial's place on Saturday, but he's a player who's not been in a good run of form. We know about forwards that come up against us in bad runs of form. We know the memo on that one. We always know what happens. But I mean, United at the start of the season were just a bit of a patchy side, bit weird, but they have been on a really good run of form. As
Mm.
you said, I mean, that's no small part down to Højlund really finding his feet in the Premier League. He went on that run of six games, 7 games scoring, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And then picking up that injury. United fans must be absolutely livid about that because he was looking really excellent, and I think if he's touch and go, he won't start on
Yeah.
Saturday. Uh,
Especially with the Liverpool
International
game as
breaks,
well next week as well.
yeah, yeah, and
They've got their FA Cup. I think it's quarter final or round of 16 against Liverpool. Next weekend. So I don't think they'll be looking to risk them against little old Everton.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I mean, they still have players that will hurt us.
Yeah, yeah,
But and we know what's going to happen with Marcus Rashford as well. We know he's going to just have the game of his life.
yeah,
Scoring that screamer would have given him the world of confidence. I know they lost against City. I doubt they expected to win. Really, I mean, City don't lose at home. They are. I still think they are going to win the title this year. I know it looks a bit
yeah,
closer,
yeah,
but we're getting to that point of the year where City kind of pop up with about 4 games in hand, and
yeah.
nobody really knows why. So I still think City will go on to win the league. I think probably one of City's worst performances was against us a few weeks ago. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we'll take that, but not to get sidelined. I think Højlund being out is a massive one. That Højlund being out would be a massive one for any team coming up against United. Martial being out is the biggest name for us. It feels ridiculous to say
Yeah, I was gonna
the
say.
bloke's Premier League career has just dwindled over the years, but he always manages to come out. They defrost him, dust him off, comes out, scores a couple against us, but he won't manage to do that this time. But they've still got players that can hurt us. So
He really lives up to that Ballon d'Or clause in his contract, Martial, whenever he plays Everton, doesn't he?
yeah,
Always
yeah,
does.
absolutely. And I, I think the scientists should do studies on that one day about, I mean, how he manages to do it every time. And we know that, I mean, Garnacho will be playing. Garnacho, a
Yeah, yeah,
player who we know what he did at Goodison. Let's try not to dwell on that for too
yeah.
long. I mean, in theory, he shouldn't do that again, but you never know. But he's a player who seems to be in a decent run of form as well at times. I mean, not a world beater. I'm not sure Garnacho's exactly come out maybe as they expected him to, but after what happened at Goodison, I'm simply never going to write that man off.
No, no, you can never write him off. As we saw at Goodison, as you say, that goal that he scored, you can never write him off. And for me, he's a player that will go from strength to strength for Manchester United over the years. It's just they're going through a transition period now where they look at the manager with the players that he's got. He had a good first season. He got them into the top four, got them Champions League football. But now with Dan Ashworth coming in, I think this game has a lot riding on it for Manchester United and the next few weeks because you know Eric Ten Hag will want to keep his job under the new Ineos ownership, and as well with Dan Ashworth coming in, as I said before, there's going to be a lot of change over Manchester United. And it's whether if Eric Ten Hag is included in that change or he is one of the changes that they make. So I think these next couple of weeks, and especially the Everton game, I think Manchester United will look to put Everton to the sword a little bit. I think there's a lot of riding on it, especially for Eric Ten Hag and that squad, because they're all fighting for the places. So it doesn't make Saturday a dead rubber, and we know how much we need the points to get away from that relegation zone. So I think it could be quite a good game on Saturday.
Well, hopefully it is. I mean, never back the early kickoff, of course, but they'll still fancy their chances for Champions League football this season somehow. I mean, I know they're quite a distance away, but
Mm,
I mean they've done it a couple of times now. They just seem to sneak in towards the end of the season. They're still targeting European football though. Will they get Champions League? I don't think so. I thought Villa would kind of take their foot off the gas at one point, but they haven't.
yeah, they seem to be good.
They're still. I mean, they're still up there in the top four, so it's still massive for United. I know they've got that FA Cup match. They will
Mm,
definitely have one eye on that, but they still, in their minds, will be chasing Champions League football. They'll definitely get some form of European football, and a team like Manchester United are not going to want to be in the Europa Conference League by any means.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely not.
there's still so much left in both of our seasons. It feels weird actually. I mean, this season seems to have flown by all of a sudden. I think we've been so
Mm,
distracted by points deductions and
yeah,
takeovers and
yeah.
everything that I haven't really focused on the fact there's only 11 games left. I mean, there's still where we are really. I mean, this is officially the business end of the season. I think after
Yeah, yeah.
28, that's officially when the business end starts. So every game is going to be huge from now. We still have so much up in the air regarding this second breach. I mean, I don't want to get into that because I think I've spoken about that more than enough. I'll save that for other videos. This is not the time to talk about
That's
that.
probably
But
an hour video on its own, isn't it?
yeah, we'll get the ESCON again. We'll talk about that. But I mean, it's just we need to pick up points over the next few weeks. We can't be leaving it. I know that getting that 4 points back was really important. I think it gave the fans a slight boost,
Mm,
but it's still what are we 5 points off the drop
yeah.
now? Luton still have that game in hand. They were troubling Villa. I mean, Lucas Digne bailing us out there. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. But if we don't start picking up points in the next couple of weeks, it's really going to start hurting us in
Mm,
what 5 or 6 games time, and because we don't know what's going to happen. The Premier League say that they want to sort out this breach by the end of this season. We'll have to see. I mean, Forest could
yeah.
pick up a point. I mean, Forest almost definitely will pick up a points deduction. I think they're probably very worried, but we can't
Yeah.
be relying on the Premier League giving us so many points to give us up. We have to get as many points as we can because a 5 point buffer at the moment for me is just it's not enough.
Yeah, I think for me as well, obviously Saturday's the last game we play, I think, until the Bournemouth game at the end of this month. So that's 3 weeks where we won't be playing a game. Teams around us will be playing. You look at Luton, Forest, even Sheffield United and Burnley. If they pick up a couple of points here and there, it brings them closer to us. And I know they're gone. And I think a lot of
Oh,
people have written them off. But I
yeah,
think, the table will start looking a little bit more precarious if, teams around us have started to pick up points. I know we'll have games in hand. But come the 30th of March when we play Bournemouth at the Vitality, I think that the table will start looking a little bit worse if we don't pick up something on Saturday. So I think that renders Saturday huge for us. And I know that it's going to be a tough game. We all know as Evertonians, Old Trafford is a horrible place to go. I think it's one win in I think it's one win in the 21st century with it being that Oviedo goal. I think, we
yeah.
haven't got a great record there. So, just go there, put a performance in and just see what we come out with.
Yeah, I mean, even a point, it gets to the end of the season where, I mean, at the end of last season, I didn't think we'd be in this position
Mm,
for one reason or another. We are in this position where all of a sudden you're looking at the games we've got left and you're thinking, where are we going to pick up the points from? But I still have complete faith that we will stay up. I mean, it is a tricky run of form, but if you don't start plugging away with a point here and there, I mean, probably being, I think it's way too optimistic to suggest we might win on Saturday, but we definitely have it in us to get a draw. I
yeah,
wouldn't rule that out at all. And when you're at this stage of the season, plugging away with a point, just making sure that you're not losing games will hopefully eventually keep us up because
yeah,
it's precarious. We've known that since the start of the season. We've known it since the 10 point deduction and being given four back, it's still a 6 point deduction. That's still two wins. And in a relegation battle, two wins is everything, really.
yeah, yeah.
So we need to be picking up points. Let's get this one out of the way. Optimistically, I'd say we could get a point. Does my head say that? Maybe not, but I mean, you never know. And then just get into that break. Hopefully, just get everyone back fully fit. Get Garner Gay back. Let's just
Mm,
let's just take a step back for a minute. You know, recuperate because, as we said, it's been a shocking couple of months. Really, we've just been in terrible run of form. So maybe the break's coming at a good time and will rejuvenate us for the running.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, I was going to say, why don't we get into some predictions for this game, some scoreline predictions? We'll start with you. What are you thinking?
Oh well, I mean, if I had to go with my heart, I'd say we nick a 1-0 just because we're not scoring more than one, definitely. And look, maybe Beto, Calvert-Lewin, someone with pace up against Johnny Evans might work, but I mean that's just writing Johnny Evans off. I mean he's absolutely excellent. So he's not
Yeah, he's
just
been
some
there.
he's
He's
not
been
just some
brilliant for them.
pensioner. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean what a fascinating signing that I don't think anyone really
Mm,
expected at the start of the season to be playing so many games. But yeah, with my heart, it's a 1-0. My head, I think we'll probably lose,
mm.
but I'll go for a 1-1. That is my
Okay.
overall prediction. I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Nice. I like that. Listen, I've said all week on different radio shows and podcasts. I did a podcast yesterday with Ellis talking to a Manchester United fan, and yeah, I stuck with my heart, and I went 1-0 Everton. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with 1-0 Everton. Jared Branthwaite or Amadou Onana from a corner. That's what I said yesterday. That's what I predicted. So I'm going to stick with that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I mean, surprised you didn't say Mikalenko popping up with a goal, but I mean, I mean, if we get a win, it's absolutely massive. It
Yeah.
almost changes the course of the end of the season. It's just going to boost everyone massively. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I mean, what a win it would be if we managed to get 3 points on Saturday.
You've got to be optimistic. You've got to be optimistic.
May as well, yeah.
But that's all we've got time for today on the Toffee Blues. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts ahead of the United game on Saturday in the comments below. But that's all. Thanks for Thomas coming on.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Nice one. Thanks for watching. See you later.